Welcome along, guys, and you are with me, Rob Ellen, in the Medicine Show Radio Moose Mobile, and I am in Nairn in the Highlands, my hometown, and I know it's not Gurf's hometown, but it is home to Gurf Morlix, who joins us from Austin. How are you, Gurf?
Hey, Rob, I'm good. I do feel at home there.
Well, yes, your rendition of The Parting Glass is just one of my favourites of all time. So you have an affinity with Scotland, I'm sure.
I certainly do. It's my favourite place in the world.
I've heard you say that.
Caught me by surprise.
Is that right?
Yeah, I didn't expect it, but I got over there and fell in love with the Scots.
What was the epiphany? Can you remember?
The first time I went to Europe and the UK, and I figured I'm going to really like Ireland and Scotland. That'll be okay, and it was the opposite. And I got to Scotland and I just met these warm, friendly, loving, hard drinking people who aren't going to take any shit from anybody. And I just felt right at home immediately.
Damn, that sounds like Texas. And we've had this conversation in the past before.
It's very Texas-like in my mind.
It is, yeah. There's so many Scottish footprints all over Texas. I mean, Mackenzie Creek here,
yep.
and I think because the cowboys all came from Scotland. They were all drovers.
Well, all the Appalachian people were Scots-Irish, and a lot of the people that were at the Alamo were Scots-Irish.
There was 4 people died,
including David Crockett.
Yeah. Do you want to hear an Alamo story? I've got an Alamo story. I want to hear your story, of course.
I'm an Alamo file.
Okay, right. Well, we'll just say hello to everybody who are in the chat frame just now, and we're encourage folks to say hello to us in the chat frame as we unfold this thing. There's Matt Morrow Senior saying hi to us as well. He's up in Ullapool and a fabulous singer-songwriter and guitarist as well. So, again, welcome, guys. Thanks for being with us. We're going to get on to Gurf's music, new album, talk about his past and the future as well. But my Alamo story is there was a McGregor at the Alamo, and he was a piper. And the McGregors were notorious outlaws. The actual name McGregor was banned by the government. So anybody who declared themselves a McGregor was already declaring I'm an outlaw. Rob Roy McGregor being the most famous of them all. But they were banned from using the name McGregor for an entire generation. So there was a McGregor, and I can't remember exactly where he's from, but he ended up at the Alamo, and by all accounts, he and Davy Crockett jammed at night, while the Mexicans were surrounding, thousands of Mexicans surrounding these 200 or 300 people that were
Yep,
holding
I've
the
heard this.
garrison. Yeah. So the story I heard, and it comes from another McGregor, Bruce McGregor, who's a fiddler and did a story on this for the BBC, was that the term, they would finish off their jam every night with the Green Grow the Rashes, Robbie Burns song.
Yeah.
And that is where the term gringos comes from, because the Mexicans were listening to it in Spanish. They hadn't, most of them hadn't got English, and they had gringos coming out over the wall every night. And it got to be the common nickname for all the Texans that were they were up against in that horrendous war and that horrendous siege, of course.
That's
And
very interesting.
I thought that was magnificent. I thought that was great. So anyway, sorry to diverse and talk about that. We've got Doug Rohrer with us as well. We're talking about the Appalachians. Doug of North Carolina, of the Posey Rohrer and Charlie Poole fame. His grandfather, granduncle. Well, he'll tell us the exact. If you would, Doug, tell us the exact connection with the original North Carolina Ramblers. It's nice to have you with us as well. Okay, so new album, Gurf. Tell us a bit about the process of releasing an album, particularly in lockdown situation.
Man, this last 21, 22 months, whatever, it's just been something. And luckily I had the songs not stop coming. I know a lot of people who just dried up when the pandemic hit and they couldn't write anything, and I wrote way more than ever before. It was just, they were just pouring out of me, just sitting at home. It's all I had to do. And then I'm doubly lucky by having a studio here in my home.
Yeah.
And so I just started cutting. I'd finish a song, and if I decided it was good enough, I'd cut it. And I ended up cutting almost 6 albums in the last 21 months.
Goodness me.
It's just absurd.
That's,
and so I put
and
one out.
knowing your process quite well, that is particularly absurd, because you don't let a song go without it being scrutinized to the hilt, do you?
Well, yeah, you gotta make sure it's as good as you can make it.
Yeah.
And I have had songs that have taken me 5 or 10 years to finish, because I know that it needed to be just as, I had to get every syllable as perfect as I could.
Yeah.
And I think I've gotten better at that, and I've learned to trust myself a little bit more. I like where the songs are going now. So I just started cutting them. And I put out an album last July called Kiss of the Diamondback. And that was the first one. So no touring with that, obviously, due to the pandemic. And then I just kept cutting. And by the time I was finished with that one, I had the next one done, which is the one that came out just like very recently. It's called Tightening of the Screws. And I just, all the fences are down. There's no rules anymore. It's like, everything's just been blown wide open with the pandemic. So, we can do anything we want. So usually I would put out an album every 2 years. And it's been a year and a half this time, but I figured, what the hell? I'll just get this thing out there, because I got 4 more ready to go.
Wow.
It's just, it's absurd.
Unbelievable. Let's, I've got the video lined up there, the one that's on your website anyway. Tell us a bit about this song, and I'll just a little bit, and I'll play the video. We'll come back and talk a bit more about the album.
Well, this song is called Cold Here Too. And I went to Las Vegas to be in a movie. It was supposed to be a little short film, but it ended up being a feature-length film. And in it, I get shot in the head, and I'm just laying there on cold concrete. And it was so cold in this parking lot of this motel in Las Vegas. And I had to lay there for like 2 hours just doing take after take with this wet blood on the back of my head, and and that night when I finally got to my hotel, and I texted my wife and I said, all I said was, I was shot and killed tonight. I was laying on cold concrete, and then my wife texted back and she said, "It's cold here too." That was that. There's a song title.
There's the shot from the song title as well.
Yeah.
Let's hear the song and have a look at the video. Thanks, Gurf.
I wrote, I was shot and killed late last night. I'm laying on cold asphalt. She replied, that's nice, dear. It's cold here too. Life don't tell you what to do. Life can make a fool of you. Best you can hope for is to slip on through. Shooting lines out in the dark, hungry like a hammerhead shark, looking for a spark somewhere, anywhere. Go ahead and make your plan, carve it out the best you can. No matter mouse or man, you're going down. Shooting lines out in the dark, blinded by a bleeding heart, knowing my chances are stark, but I don't care. We know the words will turn to dust, like metal becomes rust. Life goes on. Shooting lines out in the dark, trying not to fall apart, looking for some art somewhere, anywhere. I wrote, I was shot and killed late last night. I'm laying on cold asphalt. She replied, that's nice, dear. It's cold here too.
That's Gurf Morlix, and it's called Here Too. And I just have to find out where I started that and come back, because we don't want that to carry on playing. Nice one, Gurf, and enriched by some Nanty guitar work, as is all your work, of course.
I appreciate that.
That was beautiful, man. That's how it all started for you, though, as an instrumentalist, isn't it? And I want to talk about the album, where to get it, and all that stuff as well. But just a bit of the background would be nice at this point.
Say that again?
Just a bit of the background of how you got into this crazy business of show in the first place.
Yeah, no, when I was really young, I saw Elvis Presley on television when he made his television debut, and I was like 3 or 4. It was just,
you remember that? That's one of your first memories.
I was glued to the set, and then like 7 or 8 years later, here come the Beatles, and so I was 12 when I saw that, and that
Yeah.
did it for me right there. I mean, I knew from the time I saw Elvis that I wanted to play the guitar, but I didn't have one. And then once I saw
Yeah.
the Beatles, I had to have one. Everybody had to have one. And
Yeah.
so, the next day in school, we all started bands and started combing our hair down over our foreheads, and it was
It
a
was
worldwide revolution.
it was that much of an explosion, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was. I haven't seen anything like that since.
Right. There's a statement.
Yeah, it was
Well,
really
and
it
but
caused me to be who I am, and it
yeah, well,
caused like
that's
all of us, our generation, to be who we are.
yeah. I agree with that as well. So you pick up a guitar, you get it, you get the thing going, you get into a band.
Yep.
Do you see your original band members from time to time? Does that happen?
A lot of them have died,
Oh man.
but I do. I see all friends that I can, although I
Yeah.
haven't seen many people in the last 21 months.
Well,
But
that's one of the advantages of touring, of course. Yeah, and we
but
haven't
yeah,
been doing.
I run into people that I was in bands with like 50 years ago,
Yeah,
and that's really remarkable because there's a bond,
yeah,
and it's
yeah.
it's just remarkable.
It is. Can you remember your first professional engagement?
Yeah, oh, absolutely.
We all
It
can't
was
remember.
it was the house that we rehearsed in my little town just south of Buffalo, New York, a little suburb town. We played the youth center, and it was a block away from the bass player's house. And we were 14 or 15 maybe, and we walked our equipment over there. We
Uh,
carried our amplifiers. We just made like 12 trips carrying cymbal stands and floor toms, and we made $40 for the whole band, which was $8 a piece. And
that's good.
we
That's good money. In
we
those
came
days.
to my parents' house after the show, the whole band, and we were all just vibrating like my parents said, I've never seen you vibrate like this. We were
Yeah.
just like wound up tighter than a ram's horn from the excitement of it. It was just unbelievable.
Nice. Nice.
And I'm sure we probably sucked, but it didn't matter at all.
I'm sure you didn't, and I bet from that point. Now, I'm assuming, and assumption being the mother of all cock-ups, that you actually became a professional musician by moving to Los Angeles. Would that be correct?
Well, no, I was making a living playing guitar in bands while I was in junior high and high school.
Right. So that was it from there on in then.
Yeah, I just got into a working band or different working bands, and I couldn't go to Woodstock. I had just graduated from high school, but I couldn't go because we had a 3-night a
You
week
had a gig on.
All my friends went. I couldn't go.
Ha!
I was making $35 a night
That's
playing in a dive near Lake Erie.
isn't that the musician's story? I remember saying to somebody, having the conversation of what were you doing in the night of Live Aid with some serious good friends of mine, and they were like, "Oh, I was here, I was there, oh, I was doing this. We had a beautiful gig," and I turned around to another one of my friends and said, "We had a bloody wedding in Ardisia."
Yeah.
And he was still in a wedding band. So the trail of the musician isn't all glamour. It
Right,
be,
it's not, but I wouldn't trade that for anything else.
I bet you. Yeah.
It hasn't been easy.
Yeah.
And like if young people ask me, or parents of young people ask me, for advice, I just say, well, first of all, you have to be just driven. You have to be as passionate as you can be, and you have to be willing to do nothing else.
Yeah.
And that's what was instilled in me, and a lot of the musicians that I worked with back then gradually fell by the wayside, and maybe they didn't have any talent. Certainly a lot of them didn't. I managed to have some and kept at it, and I never had a real job.
Yeah, if you got the talent and the drive, that is the case. And the thing is,
talent, drive, and luck.
Luck's involved in it as well. Yeah. I'll go back to LA in a minute, but just while we're talking about talent and drive, it still seems to be that way with you. You are a very one man show with it and hands on in every element. Are you not?
Yeah, well, that just evolved into it having to be that way because I couldn't afford to take a band on the road.
Yeah.
I don't know how anyone can these days unless they're selling tons of records and selling out big halls. I evolved into being the drummer and being the singer and being the guitar player all at the same time, and it has worked out fine, I think.
Not only that, but the publicist, the manager, the record label owner, the producer,
Yeah, and I sweep
got me,
up.
and sweeper up at
Yeah.
the. So, so on that note, and before I forget to do this, we should just plug exactly where to get this new album of yours because it isn't available readily unless you do come and ask you for one. Would you not? Would you not say that was the case?
Yeah, it's gonna be on the streaming services soon,
All right.
Spotify and your Apple Music, and that's in the pipeline here.
Okay.
But as of right now, the only copies are available through me. You can there's an email address on my website. You can just email me, and also all the information is on my website. It's the only place you can get them right now.
So you're pretty much hands-on with all the social media side of things as well. Let's see if we
I
can find.
I don't have anyone else. I kind of have to be.
That's right. Yeah. So let me
Yeah.
see if I can find. I've got it somewhere. There's Facebook
Yep.
and Gurf's website. Twitter. No, I'm looking for the website. Gurf. Excuse me, folks.
Hey, there
There
it
we
is.
go. Okay. So what I'll do is I'll take that down and I'll cut and paste this across so that it is in
Hey,
the chat frame.
you're good at this.
Trying to
You've
get
done this
better.
before.
So there you are. It's in the chat frame, guys. And latest update on Charlie and Posey Rohrer were Doug Rohrer's great uncles. So thanks for that, Doug.
Huh?
Ruth is listening in from Calgary. Ruth, do you remember Ruth? She did the show with us at Threadgills. She was
Yeah,
traveling with us in the Moose
of
as
course I
well.
do. Yeah,
Nice to have Ruth with us as
yeah.
well. And
I love Edmonton.
yeah, so for those that don't know and might have just wandered in to see Gurf Morlix and how you're getting on, this is the Medicine Show Radio Moose Mobile, and currently in Scotland, Ruth tells me that the Calgary Moose has just had a new gearbox, so it might be moving around a little bit as we all start to try and move around a little bit in the rubble
Yep.
of COVID. That's something that we should talk about as well at
Yeah.
some point. I'm going to get back to a bit of music in a minute, but we can't mention the LA years without asking you what the influence of that city was and working with Lucinda and Warren Zevron and all those guys as a road musician as well as a producer
Yeah.
and not a songwriter at that point. Am I correct in that?
Well, I was writing songs. I just wasn't playing them for anybody. I moved to Austin when I was 24, and that was just perfect for me at the time. And that's where I met Blaze Foley and
Yeah.
started playing original music with friends. And then after about 6 years, suddenly Austin was too small, and I wanted to tour nationally, and I had sort of run out of opportunities, and I realized I had to go to Los Angeles. And so I went to Los Angeles, and first thing I noticed is that it's huge. And the music scene in Austin in 1978, 9 was small.
Yeah.
And if you needed to find a bass player, you might find like 9 or 10 people that might fit the bill. If you were in Los Angeles and you needed to find a bass player, you could get a list of 100. And then if those 100 didn't work out, you could get another list of 100, and you could do that all day long.
Yeah.
And the quality of the players out there was so great. And And it was really good timing on my part. And I did meet Lucinda Williams out there and start playing with her. And then after, in 1981, I came back to Austin. I was 30. And I, if I hadn't gone to Los Angeles, I would have been the same person and the same musician in Austin. But because I went to Los Angeles for all that time and sort of got established as a guitar player and producer, when I came back to Austin, there was an elevation, only because I had been somewhere and come back. Same
Yeah.
person, same musician, but I found it interesting. It was a good move.
Something went wrong with the graphics there. Yeah. Sorry to disturb you on that one. Yeah. And then did Austin grow into your consciousness as well as grow into the world's consciousness as a live music center? Is that what happened and got you back to Austin?
Yeah, there was so many great musicians here. When I came back from Los Angeles, it had changed some, and I spent 10 years in Los Angeles, and came back, and no, it was 91 when I came back to Austin, not 81. It was 81 when I left, and just all these great musicians. I mean, Townes Van Zandt was here, and Guy Clark was here a lot, and Blaze, and it was just this whole scene was just incredible, and then the youngsters were coming up, and I had been producing records, so all of a sudden I was a record producer, and I had more work than I could deal with. I was turning them down left and right, and just did nothing for, I don't know, 10 or 15, 20 years there, but make albums for really great artists. Some of the people I consider to be the best songwriters in the world came across my doorstep, and that was really lucky.
Wonderful. And so it is a land of song with Texas, basically.
Say that again?
It's the land of song, really, Texas. There's no place else that song is appreciated for.
It's something different here than anywhere else. California has a scene, but it's not the Austin singer-songwriter scene. New England has a songwriter scene, but it's not what Austin has. And I'm not sure why. I'm not sure. Maybe the heat has something to do with it. I don't know, but it's just people are really friendly here, and a whole lot of great songwriters have lived here or passed through here.
And there's one or two stories floating around every street in Texas. That's the story. That's the truth. Is it?
Yeah. It's remarkable.
And it's grown up in the last 200 years with those stories, and the stories have been sung. Yeah.
It's just soulful here. It's just there's just something about it, and no one can put their finger on it, but it just is.
So, right, what I'm going to do, we're talking about soulful. Maybe this is a good way of going into this little segue. I had the very good fortune, and you graced that fortune by performing for us at a showcase for South by at Threadgills. And now this is the anomaly that I can't understand. When you have something in Texas with as much soul as Threadgills had, why did they tear it down and build something else? Why did they not develop that?
Money. It's all money. Taxes. You get taxed out. That was prime downtown real estate.
Yeah.
And their taxes just kept going up astronomically. I mean, it's just, and that's why everything has changed around here. It's just. It's become a city of people who make a lot of money.
Yes, and don't get me started, but they make a lot of money in Austin, Texas, because it's got a name as the world's capital for live music. And if they tear down the venues, will it remain that way, Gurf?
It's changing. A lot of the people streaming in here, I don't think they're music people necessarily. They're tech people, and it's okay. It's there's nothing wrong with a city booming naturally. But it's not what it was when I moved here in 1975, when it was 250,000 people, and it was just a warm college town that was just cheap to live in, and with a great live music scene. And it's changed now, and
Yeah.
it got so expensive here that a lot of musicians have had to leave town, and they've had to
Yeah.
go back to where they came from, or somewhere cheaper, or move out of the city, a half an hour just to find cheaper rent. And
You know what? And you know what's good about that? I mean, it's bad in the extent of everybody's not readily available, but places like Maynard, uh, Smithville, and Bee Cave, and all around the outskirts of Austin have now got their own little vibrant live music scene.
this is true.
Wimberley
It's
was fantastic. I could have spent a week there, and there was all sorts of stuff going on.
Yeah, I mean it's very small. It's not like Austin
Yeah,
was when I moved here,
yeah.
uh, but that is a good thing.
So Michael K. Williams, and thanks for joining us, guys, in the chat. When can we see you in New York again? That's another question. When do you think that you might consider getting back to working on the road, Gurf?
Well, I'm triple vaccinated, and so I feel pretty safe. But there's a lot of unvaccinated people out there, and there's a lot of double vaccinated people that are friends of mine that have gotten sick. And it's getting colder, and the holidays are coming, and I'm not sure we're finished with this thing. I think it's going to be around for quite a while. I'm hoping the numbers go down, but I don't want to play until I think it's safe for everyone, and I don't think it's safe for everyone yet. So I'm just I'm putting things off a month or two at a time here, and just
Yeah,
sometime in 2022, I assume it'll be safe enough to do something. But I want to see what happens through the holidays and
yeah.
the possible surge. I want everybody to be safe. I feel like I have a social contract
You've got your
with
own moral
humanity,
responsibility. Yeah,
not to catch this thing and give it to somebody else.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
That's how I'm thinking.
Well, let's hope that it gets to that position before too long,
Boy,
and hope that well, I mean, you're remaining creative, so there will be stuff coming out of that studio of yours
oh,
as
man,
well. Are
I
you
have
working on something just now?
I have three more albums finished,
Yes.
and a fourth one is three-quarters finished. The
Okay.
songs just keep coming, and I just keep recording them, and I got to figure out somehow. I don't have any tech whizzes on my side or anything, but I got such a backlog now. If I put them out every year and a half or something, I got albums for the next 10 years.
Yeah.
And these songs are great. I want people to hear them now, so I'm gonna have to try to figure out how to release a song every couple of weeks, or a song a month, or something. Um,
You know, on that subject, and we will get to play some more music in a minute, but on that subject, a good friend who I worked with as well as a publicist was in a similar situation, David Starr. And what he did was he released one song every month with a really nice video.
yeah,
And called it his Touchstones, and they were actually covers. He just had to get something out of his system about the songs that inspired him over his career. And what
yeah,
that did was it kept the media, the radio guys, in the loop of what he was doing, and it
yeah,
kept him in the playlists for a whole year.
yeah.
And now he's at the end of that year and is releasing the album on the back of a year's worth of publicity and promo uh,
It's a
as a
great idea.
CD, and people are ready to actually buy it because they know what they're getting as well.
Yeah.
So, and
Well,
I think that's uh, a way that a lot of people are considering releasing albums now, not just uh, as a project all on its own, but as a multimedia project with a concept behind it.
yeah, it's going to have to be something like that, and it's going to have to be some sort of staggered releases. But
Yeah.
I don't have the ability to make a video of all these songs at this point. If
Ah, yeah,
anybody has any ideas on that, please let me know.
yeah.
Um, you know, I'm stretched pretty thin as it is, being the sweeper upper and the you know the stamp paster and
the video that you played was pretty cool. I'll play out with that as well. Let's go and have a look at the last time that we met each other.
Okay.
Which was at the aforementioned Fred Gills.
That was 2019, right?
It's 2018, I think it was.
Okay.
Yeah, March 19, 2018 is the exact familiar theme tune. That is actually Doug Roder, who we were talking to earlier on.
I didn't like high school. And I probably should have quit school. I wasn't smart enough, but probably should have quit school when I was about 10, I'm thinking. But I kind of graduated as a favor to my parents. But these days, I just wanted to be out of there. It wasn't that I had friends, you know. I'm not sure what it was, but after graduation, I wanted to be missing in action. I wanted there to be no trace of me when it came time for the 10-year reunion, and I almost pulled that off. But these days, it's really easy to find people online, and I've been being contacted by people that I went to school with, and trading emails with some of them. And then as I go play around the country, these people have been coming out. They spread all over the place, and they've been coming out to my shows. And I don't know what happened between graduation and now, but I find that I like them all. Somehow they all had this sort of mass maturation. Wearing black high tops, I wanted them so bad. Ads on TV after school, driving me mad. Run your fastest, jump your highest, better than ever way. If my mama had bought me some PF flyers, everything might have been okay. Stinky had a Fender basement, best amplifier in the land. Couldn't play, but it didn't matter. It got him into a band. I was plugging my guitar into my record player, sitting in my room all day. If I'd have had me a Fender amp, I might have gone all the way. To love the sound that time made, rushing past my ears. Now it's gone by in the blink of an eye. It's been 50 years. Cindy with the scent of danger, Betty with those puffy lips, Barbie reaching through the sand, she touched her fingertips. Jennifer so tall and creamy, Karen with her country ways. I wanted to talk to them, but I couldn't think of nothing to say. Larry was a psycho, Greg, he was numb. Peter was his bear's keeper. Paul marched to a different drum. Dirtball, he went AWOL. We ain't seen him since. I wanted to be on that list, to leave no fingerprints. I used to love the sound that time made, rushing past my ears. Now it's gone by in the blink of an eye. It's been 50 years. There's a ring around the moon tonight, flashing red and green. Wrong or right, stop and go. I'm wondering what it means. I'm sitting here thinking about a world so long ago. A bunch of kids sharing some air, people I used to know. Some are lost, some are missing, some have died. There's a few that should have come by, they made it to the other side. Life ain't no mystery, life is a one-act play. You don't wait for nobody, don't let nothing get in its way. I used to love the sound of time made rushing past my ears. Now it's gone by in the blink of an eye. It's been 50 years. I used to love the sound of time made rushing past my ears. Now it's gone by in the blink of an eye. It's been 50 years. Oh, thanks.
There we are, Gurf Morlix playing to a packed house on the outdoor stage at Threadgill's, one of the last concerts at that iconic venue. And for us, for a showcase that we did for South by Southwest with Libby Coke and Songwriter Serenade. So thanks to everybody for doing that on that day. Thanks again, Gurf. It was a bonny day, eh?
Oh, that was great. That looked perfect.
Yeah, it was lovely. And with the song that we'd played there, we just more or less covered everything that we talked about. You'd more or less covered everything that we've talked about in the last 40 minutes in a 4-minute song. That's the craft of the songwriter right there. Beautiful, man.
Well, thank you.
Yeah, and thank you. Thanks for joining us. I've got one eye on the time, because when we set this up, I said, well, listen, we'll try and not make it wind on for too long. It'll be about 40 minutes, and that's us in the blink of an eye, in the words of the song, into 42, 43 minutes as well. So
people have attention spans, you know.
Well, there is that, and we could sit here and talk all day. I've got to say something though. Thanks to everybody who have made their comments and available to us here in the Facebook page. I'm just looking for Ruth's one. She's got an idea for you there.
Oh, good.
A video editor who's just trying to learn the craft in Ohio, but you can't do this sort of stuff on the internet these days. So
Yeah.
maybe you should drop Gurf a line of suggestion and recommendation in that case, Ruth.
Yeah,
and
sure.
see if I can find Ruth's. It's gurfmorlix.com, simple as that, and there's plenty of information on the album. And thanks for allowing us to play the video today. Good luck with the albums, let's say.
Thank
now
you,
then.
Rob.
And keep in touch, please. And if I can help in any way with any of the other releases, I'd be delighted to. And I'll drop you a line. See if you can send a download to the radio show for us as well, because
I definitely can.
we still maintain a radio show on Sheppy FM. So I'll make sure that Mike's aware of what's going on and help with any promo that we can through ye oldie radio, like they used to do in the olden days.
The technology is amazing. We can do all of this.
Yeah, it's beautiful. It really is. And the fact that somebody can just pop in for 40 minutes of their day and spend their time with us is humbling as well. So thanks, everybody who has done that. It's been a joy to talk to you, Gurf. Always is. Good to see you looking so well and working so well as well.
Yeah, well, hopefully we lay eyes upon each other someday.
that will happen. I'd hopefully get to South by before too long. But I'm in the similar situation as you. It's like the opportunities are there, but not enough, and there is going to be a decompression period where people aren't going to do things until they feel totally safe in doing them. So we just do what we can to make it as easy as possible.
Well, this has been a pleasure.
It has been. Thank you. I appreciate it.
Thank you.
So what I'm going to do, stick around if you want, or have it in the background. There is another 8 minutes of that video that we shot in Threadgills. I'll just play out with that, and I'll maybe flash up a few information things on the screen for anybody that might be interested in the Moose, the Medicine Show Radio Moose Mobile. You can find us and follow the Moose on Facebook, and that way you can get notifications of things as and when they come. We've got 1 or 2 live gigs over the weekend as well from the Highlands, so always a pleasure to catch up with folks live and in their live environment. So we're going to be doing that over the weekend, and I'm not quite sure who the next guest in the Moose will be. There's 1 or 2 in the pipeline. So again, thanks again, Gurf. I won't hold you back anymore. Take care, and I look forward to hearing the entire album and getting it on the radio for you.
Yeah. All right.
Take care, bro.
All right. Bye.
Bye.
Can you turn the monitors down considerably? 1, 2, 1, 2. Yeah, that's better. I'll just go with that. So I didn't always do this singer-songwriter thing as a living. I used to be a guitar player for hire, and I played with all kinds of people from the time I was like 15, and I played with some really well-known people and on some big stages in front of lots of people. And one of the people that I played with back then was Warren Zevon. You guys familiar with Warren Zevon? Well, I played those songs with him hundreds of times, and I just think he's the greatest songwriter, one of the greatest ever. Somebody asked me recently, do you do any Warren songs? And I go, no, I don't, but I don't know why, because I know most of them. And so I thought I would sing you guys a Warren Zevon song here. And I'll warn you, it's a piece of work. It's a little dated. It was written back in the early 70s, but it's really something, and I hope someday to be able to write a song this good. Warren always played the intro on the piano, and so now I have to do it on the guitar, and I'm not used to it. So I get it right about maybe half the time or 2/3 of the time, so just bear with me on the intro. And
that son of a bitch man
Roland's head. Time, time, time for another peaceful war. Time stands still for Roland till he evens up the score. I can still see his headless body stalking through the night, and the muzzle flash of Roland's Thompson gun, and the muzzle flash of Roland's Thompson gun. Roland searched the continent for the man who'd done him in. He found him down in Brazzaville in a barroom drinking gin. Roland aimed his Thompson gun, he never said a word, and he blew Van Owen's body from there to Johannesburg. Roland the headless Thompson gunner, Roland the headless Thompson gunner, talking about the man. Roland the headless Thompson gunner. Ooh, Roland the headless Thompson gunner. Still wanders through the night. Now it's 10 years later, but he still keeps up the fight. In Ireland and Lebanon and Palestine and Berkeley, Patty Hearst heard the birth of Roland's Thompson gun and bought it. Thanks, you guys. You've been great.